Hey there, fellow vegetable nerds. Thank you so much for hanging out with me once again in my kitchen. Tonight, or should I say this morning, because it's 1 in the morning. What better thing to do at 1 in the morning for some reason than play with Kale?
Hey, turn up the caramello and shizzle on the shizney. It's time for me to what? Let me introduce myself. I'm Gino Burrito. My pants are made of leather. I find it hard to concentrate.
So this morning, I'm gonna put a new twist on an old favorite. I'm not the first person to come up with the idea of a kale Caesar salad, but I'm gonna show you my version of it. It is easy, it is fairly fast, and it's gonna taste like you took a little bit more time on it than you actually did. And I like when that happens. So first of all, before we do anything else, let me get one thing out of the way. I know kale has a little bit of a reputation. I know you are probably sick of hearing about kale. I love kale. And I'm sick of hearing about kale. I get it. It's not kale's fault, okay? Kale is just living its little life. It's just hanging out, being all full of vitamin C and chlorophyll and probably iron. Just hanging out in the produce section, saying, "Notice me, senpai." It did not ask for any of what happened to it. It did not ask for all of the bloggers and all of the health people and the people with avocado for a middle name to suddenly start going nuts about it and trying to pretend like kale's gonna save the world. It's not gonna save the world, it's just gonna be yummy. Just like calm down for a minute, okay? It's kind of like when you hear a song and you're like, "Hi, I kind of like this song," and then suddenly every station you turn on is playing that song, and then you're just like, if I hear that song one more time, I'm gonna kill us all. I understand. Now, I also understand that a lot of people think that kale is like uber gross vegetable. You know, kale doesn't seem like it should be yummy, but everything is yummy when you do the right things with it. I promise it's better than you think it is. Now, I know that some of you out there are cooking for more than just yourself, so it's easier said than done. You know, you can make it for yourself and be adventurous, but you gotta get other people to try it too. I understand, okay? So I'm going with a very simple and easy recipe, and we're going to do something with it that is taking something that people already are familiar with. Almost everybody on Earth at this point has had a Caesar salad, and it's a pretty easy foot in the door because it's not vegetable heavy. Pretty much the only vegetable in a Caesar salad is some kind of leafy green, generally romaine. We're just gonna switch that out for a different leafy green, but we're not gonna load you down with a whole bunch of other stuff. So it's like a nice little, just dip your toe in there and see if you like it. And it's gonna be covered in yummy creamy dressing and crunchy things and cheese and things like that, and how can you go wrong? So just give it a shot. And if you like this, there's all kinds of fancy recipes. There's all kinds of things that you can do with kale that are so good. Just try the simple one first. And if you don't like it, it's okay. It is okay to not like things, but you know, you gotta give them a chance. If you don't like it like this, number one, you didn't waste that much time. You didn't waste that much effort or money or extra ingredients trying to make something super fancy with pomegranate seeds and roasted this and some of that and 14 different steps. If you don't like it, try it in a couple of other ways before you fully decide that you don't like it, because as we talked about before, you will get different characteristics out of a vegetable by trying it in different ways. Maybe you'll like kale chips, but you won't like a kale Caesar salad. Maybe you'll love braised kale, but you won't like either of the other two, okay? When trying a new vegetable, this is my personal philosophy, try it 3 ways before you decide you don't like it. Nobody likes everything. There's even a couple of vegetables I don't love. There's none I hate, to be honest. I don't hate any, but like, I don't really like fennel very much. But I'm still on the lookout for the recipe that will change my mind about that, because I've only had fennel a couple of ways. I haven't had it 3 ways. So I am open to that experience. So you should try to be open to this one. I just want to get one thing out of the way. I know that there's going to be at least a couple of purists out there who are like, look, a Caesar salad is made with romaine lettuce. Anything else is not a Caesar salad. I make the rules. We have already changed the Caesar salad. It is already different from the way it originated. Originally, a Caesar salad had full leaves of romaine lettuce so that you could pick them up and eat them with your hands. The dressing had like raw eggs in it and Worcestershire sauce. Like we tend to think of it having anchovies in it, but that anchovy flavor was actually coming from Worcestershire sauce. Now there was a version of the Caesar salad actually invented by the brother of the guy who invented the Caesar salad, and that substituted anchovy paste for Worcestershire sauce. So technically what we're eating today is a lot more like his salad. That was called the aviator's salad. And technically we're eating something a lot closer to an aviator salad, but even still, that was still different. The whole idea of a Caesar salad was that it wasn't just a salad, it was like an experience. The guy who invented it would come to your table and he would mix it up in front of you, and he would crack raw eggs into the thing and like throw in all the ingredients, and he would roll the leaves of the lettuce in this dressing that he was creating at your table, and it would all emulsify in front of you, and you would just kind of eat it with your hands. So it's already different. Things change, recipes change, everything changes. The pizza that we eat isn't real Neapolitan pizza, but we're still eating pizza and having a good time. So like, let's not get hung up, right? So how are we gonna do this? First we start with our beautiful, beautiful kale. One way that kale is different from romaine is that it has these ribs down the middle. And the ribs are not as is, they are not edible. Now, when I say not edible, here's the thing that a lot of people maybe don't understand because they don't necessarily tell you. And you're just supposed to know. Not edible or inedible is not the same thing as poisonous. It doesn't mean it's gonna hurt you or kill you. It just means that like this is super fibrous and you're gonna chew it forever and ever and ever. Can you eat it? Yeah, if you want to. I actually just found out, and I'm so happy about this because I hate food waste. I just found out that they are totally edible. You just have to like do different stuff with them, you know? I found out there's all these recipes for the ribs of your kale. You just gotta blanch them first. And then you can pickle them and you can put them in salads and you can do all kinds of fun stuff. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna save these and put them aside. Because ordinarily, I would say, you know, take these trimmings and you can put them in your stock, but brassicas don't do that great in stock because of all that high sulfur content. So you're gonna get like this really kind of tasting stock. It's generally better to find something else to do with your scraps, but there's all kinds of things you can do with scraps, and I'm so interested in that as a topic, and we will make episodes about that. So I'm not gonna do anything with these in today's episode, but I am in a future episode, and I'm gonna save these and I am going to eat these. But in the meantime, we need to get our leaves up here. You can cut them off, or it's so much easier, and you just grab them, rip them off. Not that hard. They come right off. This is a nice thing if you've got like kids in the kitchen, or you know, a helper of some kind. You can have them help you do this. It's easy. You're not gonna hurt yourself. I mean, unless you're me, who's constantly finding creative ways to hurt yourself doing things that nobody should be able to hurt themselves doing. It's a talent. Hashtag humble brag. And even though it looks like a small bunch, it's actually gonna end up being kind of a lot. And it's also, because of that high fiber content, it's like really filling. It goes a long way. I was asked to bring a salad to Thanksgiving, this past Thanksgiving at my in-laws' place. And I brought a regular Caesar for them, and I brought a kale Caesar for me because I wanted it, but I wasn't gonna inflict it on other people. It ended up being very popular. Everybody wanted some of it. And I made a whole, you know, bunch of kale. And I thought, oh, it's not gonna make very much. And then it ended up making a salad that like all four of us got to have some of. See, now we have a lot of kale. One thing we should probably do is wash this off. Okay, so once you've got it all off of the stems, you're just gonna wanna chop it down. I think the smaller you chop it, the better, within reason. I don't want it too small, but kind of like little pieces, almost like a chopped salad. You still want it to have a little toothsomeness to it. You want something to chew, but kale can be a little extra toothsome, and you don't want a huge, big piece of it in your mouth. So for me, maybe pieces about that big, not super, super, super small. This is not gonna be my serving bowl. This is just a mixing bowl. I would not ordinarily do this, but it is a good idea. This is going to give you, using a large mixing bowl is going to give you the ability to really mix it up and incorporate your dressing and all of that without spilling it all over the place. Because I have a tendency to put it in the bowl that I'm going to serve it in, which is like just the right size. And then when I try and mix it up, I make a big mess. Now that we've got it in our bowl, we've got it all chopped up and ready to go, we have options to massage or not to massage. Ordinarily, I would never say no to a massage. So what's the purpose of massaging kale? You'll see a lot of things online right now about a massaged kale salad. Basically what it does is you're working with it and you're breaking down some of the cellulose and it becomes softer, it becomes maybe a little bit more translucent, and it takes on some of the flavors more. You can certainly overdo it. If you over massage it, you get something that's just kind of very soft and limp. And in some cases, that's what you want. This is one of those things where it's just gonna depend on what you're doing with it. I've had some massaged kale salads and they were chopped really, really, really finely. And they had other things in it that were also chopped really, really finely, because that was the point of it. That was the purpose behind it, was to create a specific texture. And so they massaged the crap out of it. And it was like this really soft kind of pile of lawn clippings, but it was yummy. You know, now if you're going to be making something where it's going to be sitting in the fridge overnight, maybe don't massage it, because it's going to get softer sitting in whatever you toss it in, and you don't want it getting gross and waterlogged or, kind of ugh. I think what I'm going to do is something in the middle. So what I'm going to do, grab a little bit of salt, and some lemon. I was going to add the lemon anyway, so I might as well add it now. Give it a little squishy squish, get it a little soft, make it a little bit more ready to take on the flavors of the dressing. So there's half my lemon. This is another one of those things. If you've got a kid in the kitchen with you, get them to wash their hands really well and then just be like, hey, you want to mangle some kale for a while? And also they might be more willing to eat it at that point, because they're invested. They're like, hey, I made that. I did that. I don't want to overdo it. So I'm just going to do it about that much. So on the subject of dressing, different people like different things. As we've discussed already, the recipe for a Caesar salad has already changed quite a bit. You can try making your own at home from scratch. And I've done it. It's okay. You get to whisk a bunch, you get to eat raw eggs. It's a party, but it's also a little bit of a hassle. And then different people have preferences. Brian goes for this stuff. He likes the super creamy kind of Caesar dressing. If he had his way, he would just have like a bowl of mayonnaise with croutons and cheese and maybe like a piece of lettuce on the table as a symbolic gesture towards the concept of salad. I don't really go for that so much. So here's what I decided to do. I found a way to make sure that we both get what we want, because I prefer something that's a little bit closer to the lighter sort of lemony kind of almost a vinaigrette sort of flavor. So for him, get some lettuce, plop, 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 you're good, out of the way. For me, I start with this and I just doctored it a bit. So here's what I do to get more of a restaurant flavor out of your jar stuff. So first you're gonna go ahead and dump some of this on there. Lamp. How much you want on there is going to be totally up to you, but remember, you're going to be adding a little bit more liquid to this, so better to start with a little bit less, and then you can always add more as you go. But once you've added too much Caesar dressing, all you can do is get more lettuce, or in this case, more kale. Should be just a little bit on the dry side. You should be looking at it going, oh, I could use just a little bit more dressing. That's when you've got it just about right. So you're going to add the rest of your lemon. That's really going to brighten it up. And it's going to break up some of the stodginess of that creamy dressing and give it more of like a vinaigrette kind of flavor, but you still have that creaminess as well. Next thing you want is get a nice pretty bowl of garlic. And this is going to be, the amount you're going to use is going to be like to your heart's content. You decide how much you want. I like a lot. I think for this, I'm going to use 2 big fat bulbs, 2 really nice big ones. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to smush them down, like really give them a good smush, and then I'm going to mince them pretty finely so that they just sort of incorporate. But I don't want to mince them so finely that they get lost because I still want it to be bitey. This is how I like it. Now you can like it differently. You can use less, you could use more, that is up to you. But for this, I want it to be really pungent with that garlic. I want that fresh, raw garlic bite. Now you can use the stuff in the jar if you want to. It's not gonna be the same. That's okay, because if that's your preference, you go for that. This is my preference, so I'm gonna go for this. So that makes a nice big amount of garlic. I'm just gonna plap it right in there. If I was making this to share with somebody else, I might not use quite as much, but that is how I like it. I used to go to this grocery store in town and they had a combination salad bar and sort of build your own wok bowl bar. So you had the ingredients for both things all mixed in together. And I would go and build a salad, but I would also take things from the wok section. And one thing that I really learned to love is fresh, raw garlic in a salad. It is just like, oh, it's gonna take your mouth and just be like, psh, psh, psh. I accidentally one time got some fresh minced ginger and I didn't intend to, but it was such a happy accident because the two of them together, it was so bitey and pungent and hot, and it was just like an assault on my tongue, and I was like, yes, this forever. And then they changed it, they got fancy, and then they're like, oh, now we're gonna have a separate salad bar over here, and the wok thing is over here, like behind glass, and you have to tell people what you want and ask for it, and then they give it to you. So every time I would go to the salad bar, I had to go up to the wok people and get their attention and be like, can I have some ginger and some garlic in a cup? And they're like, why? And I'm like, it's none of your business. The moral of that story is that it's yummy. Just try it. You're gonna like it. Okay, so now we got that in there. We got our lemon, we got our garlic, some fresh cracked pepper in there. That's a pretty standard thing. Now the lemon should have loosened up some of this dressing. Remember, we left it a little bit dry, and the lemon should have added a bit of liquid to that and improved the texture. At this point, if you want to put more dressing in there, you go for that. Like, this is your salad. I'm making it how I want it. You make the changes that you want to make to it. Cooking is chaos magic. Here's where you have another option. This is, again, it's like a choose your own adventure salad. Like, what do you want to do with it? That's up to you. Do you want anchovies in your Caesar salad? I think you know what I want. A lot of times I'll make this without, but I just happen to have some and I do like anchovies. So this time, I'm gonna toss those in there. Oh, lovely anchovies in oil. Again, totally optional. Let's do 3 fillets. Now this, I don't want big chunks of. This, I think I'm just gonna like use the flat of my knife to just smear and smush, and I'm gonna try and incorporate it so that it becomes part of the background flavor, and it adds a little bit of like a salty umami kind of flavor, but without actually getting big chunks of recognizable anchovy in your mouth. So first I'm gonna do a little chop. So I'm just gonna kind of smush and chop and smush and chop and smush and chop. See how that goes. Love anchovies. Yum, 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 yum. So now we're gonna give this a mix, and then we're gonna see how it tastes. There are still some chunks of the anchovy in here. I don't mind that. Next thing we want is some Parmesan cheese. Stella heard the word cheese and she came running. What are you gonna do? Eat a whole wedge of Parmesan cheese? That's what I thought. So on the subject of cheese, once again, you have choices. So you want Parmesan cheese. Now, if you're vegetarian or vegan, I mean, if you're vegan, you're probably not eating this salad dressing, but I mean, they have vegan versions of it. So, you know, we can still do this. If you're vegan, you're probably gonna wanna get a vegan version of your Parmesan cheese, and this is not gonna apply to you. I don't know as much about that, but I know it exists. For everybody else, the standard for a Caesar salad is shaved Parmesan. So you get nice big flakes of Parmesan in your mouth, and you can buy it pre-shaved. I think you're gonna spend more money that way. And then you're gonna have a big bucket, you know, a little tub of shaved Parmesan, and then you gotta figure out what else to do with that. I have found that just buying a wedge of Parmesan cheese is the easiest, the most economical, and the most versatile. You can spend like $6 on the craft stuff, and it's all full of like anti-caking agents and all kinds of stuff to keep it separate, but also like it doesn't taste as nice, number one. And number two, like I have found that after a certain amount of time, it gets little bits of mold in there and it'll kind of like clump around some mold. This is gonna last you for so long. You could throw this in the freezer and it'll last you for the rest of your life. But in the fridge, it's gonna take forever before this starts to show any mold. And if it does, it's gonna be on the outside. You just cut it off and you're still good. So it's gonna last you a lot longer. Also, your experience may vary depending on where you live and how much things cost in your local store, but this was like $2 and something. So I've already saved money. And plus the fact that if I want shaved Parmesan for my salad right now, I got shaved Parmesan. All I gotta do is shave it. If I want grated Parmesan for something else, I just gotta grate it. You've got all of your options in one thing, and it's less expensive, and it lasts longer, and it feels like fancy. I feel very fancy using an actual wedge of Parmesan. So I have one of these deals. Fun fact, I don't remember ever buying this. I don't know where it came from. I don't know how it ended up in my drawers, but it's here and I love it now. It's a member of the family now. We accept it, even if it snuck in the middle of the night somehow. I mean, it's as easy as that. You just kind of do your little shavey shave. There's a better way to do it, but I don't normally do this while trying to talk to a camera. So, and what you're gonna end up with is like little shavings. Now, if you have a can of the green stuff, you know, the pre-ground stuff in your fridge, still good. Still gonna be yummy, you know, use what you have. If it's gonna be harder to get this than it is to get that, get the thing you can get. Like, don't stress about it. Oh man, you can really smell that anchovy. I love it. I love it. If you don't like anchovy, leave it out. I don't care, do what you want. You can add a little bit of Dijon mustard in here as a nod to the original version. That's probably gonna be yummy. Do whatever you wanna do. It's your salad. You're gonna want something crunchy in there. So, ordinarily, you would have some croutons, and croutons are yummy, but croutons are kind of like high in carbs and stuff, and I try to stay away from stuff like that, even though I love them. But also for this, something with a little bit more substance to it. Now, what you could do is you could take some chickpeas, you could take it like a can of chickpeas, rinse them off, dry them really well, put whatever spices you want in there. There'd be a great opportunity to try out some spice mixes that you want to play around with and see if you like them, and then just roast them until they get nice and crispy. Or you can just buy them. I really like these in a kale Caesar. I feel like they complement the flavors and the textures. There is a special joy in using the last of something. Every time I use the last of something, I feel like, yeah, like I got it right. I didn't waste food, and I correctly ascertained how much I was gonna wanna have, and I used it all, and I don't know, it's satisfying. I don't feel any need to wash 2 dishes. I don't have to put it in a nice presentation bowl. It's just me. It's like 2 in the morning. I'm just eating a salad, so I'm not too proud to eat a salad out of something this big. That is how you get a restaurant quality kale Caesar salad from some basic ingredients using your store-bought salad dressing. You serve this, tell people you made the dressing yourself. Nobody will ever know, I promise you. Thank you so much for hanging out with me in my kitchen. Again, I am gonna do something with those kale ribs. I don't know what yet. I'm gonna do something. It's gonna be yummy. Actually, I think I do know what. This is gonna be fun. Okay, so stay tuned next time. See what I do with those. It's gonna be cool. Thank you for hanging out. Make sure to check out all the stuff in the description and such. Please like and subscribe. Do all the nice things. Go be nice to somebody. And I will see you next time. Bye.
Hey, turn up the caramello and shizzle on the shizney. It's time for me to what? Let me introduce myself. I'm Gino Burrito. My pants are made of leather. I found a